The fluorescent lights in the pharmacy made everything look a little too honest, like the world had been scrubbed with dish soap and left to dry without a towel. I stood in the cosmetics aisle holding a tube of mascara I didn't know how to pronounce, wearing a hoodie pulled up over my messy dark hair, and still somehow sparkling. Glitter, apparently, doesn't believe in showers. It clings to your collarbones. It migrates. It shows up on your cheek like a tiny confession. A woman, about my mom's age, slowed her cart, squinted at me, then at her phone. "Oh my God," she said, not quiet. You're him." I did the thing where my brain tried to pretend she meant someone else. "Sorry?" "The makeover guy," she said, already grinning. "My daughter made me watch your video, the one where you know." Her eyes flicked down like she expected to see a dress hiding behind the cart. "You're the one who did the challenge." My throat tightened, not from fear exactly, but from the weird pressure of being recognized for something that had started as a joke and ended up changing my rent. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "That's me." She laughed like she'd caught a celebrity in the wild. "Can I take a picture? For my daughter." My first instinct was to say yes. My second instinct was to think about how I'd come here because I wanted to buy mascara in peace, and how even that felt like work now. I'm kind of gross right now," I said, gesturing at the glitter. "Maybe not." Her smile faltered, then returned, gentler. "No worries, that's okay. Just keep doing what you're doing, honey. You made me laugh." When she rolled away, I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding and stared at myself in the little security mirror tucked into the corner of the aisle. Brown eyes, permanent tiredness under them, scruffy stubble that I never seemed to shave at the right time. Hoodie strings chewed at the ends, and, like a punchline, a few stubborn gold flecks above my eyebrow. My phone buzzed in my pocket. "Sasha, you alive?" I typed back with my thumb. Me, currently being hunted in the mascara aisle. "Sasha, as you deserve," I snorted before I could stop myself. A couple down the aisle looked over. That was my life now. People looking over. 2 months ago, nobody looked over. 2 months ago, I was just Dylan, 24, average height, lean in the way you get when you forget to eat because you're editing until 2 in the morning. I made small videos in my apartment, the kind where you hope the algorithm takes pity on you. I did gaming streams, dumb sketches, and once, a 15-minute rant about how my downstairs neighbor seemed to be training for a furniture moving competition at 3 a.m. Then I let my best friend put makeup on me as a joke, and the joke became a job that tried to swallow me whole. I didn't plan to end up standing under pharmacy lights, calculating whether buying eyeliner counted as giving in. I just wanted to make Sasha laugh. It started on a Tuesday night, the kind where the sky outside my window looked like wet cement and my apartment smelled like microwaved noodles. Sasha showed up with the pizza box under one arm and my ring light under the other, like she owned both. "You left this in my car," she announced, dropping the ring light onto my coffee table with a thud. "Also, I brought tribute." "You didn't have to bring pizza," I said, even though my stomach immediately betrayed me by growling. "I did, because you've been living on spite and caffeine." Sasha kicked off her boots and flopped onto my couch like it was a throne. She was 25, all sharp eyeliner and sharper opinions, her hair tied up in a high, messy bun. She worked at a salon during the day and treated her friends like long-term projects. "So, what are we filming tonight?" "I wasn't planning to film," I admitted. Sasha opened the pizza box and made a sound like she was revealing a priceless artifact. "Dylan, you posted once last week. You're going to get buried." "I know." I rubbed my face. "I'm just burnt out." She stared at me, then at my half-set-up camera, then back at me with a grin that never meant anything safe. "What if," she said slowly, "we do something stupid?" "No." "You didn't even hear it. Whenever you say something stupid, my bank account starts sweating." Sasha leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "Makeover challenge." I blinked. "What?" "You've seen it," she said. Guys doing makeup challenges, glow up videos before and after. It's everywhere. People eat that up. I'm not doing that, I said automatically, like my mouth could protect me. Sasha tilted her head. Why not? Because it'll look like I don't know. I waved a hand in the air, trying to catch the right word without grabbing something ugly. Because I'll look ridiculous. Exactly, she said, like that was the point. You do it as a joke. People love when you commit to a bit. And I'm a professional. She pointed at herself dramatically. I can make you look good. I laughed, sharp and disbelieving. You can't make me look good. Sasha's eyes narrowed. That is insulting. I have taken a man who thought shampoo was optional and turned him into someone's boyfriend in 45 minutes. I can handle you. I opened my mouth to argue again, but she was already rummaging through her bag like a magician, about to pull out something illegal. Where's Priya's makeup? She asked. I froze. Why would I have Priya's makeup? Sasha gave me a look. Because you're her little brother and you borrow her stuff. I know you. You borrowed her fancy hairdryer last month. That was a one-time thing. I paused. Also, don't touch her makeup. Sasha's grin widened. So you do have it. I sighed, defeated by the fact that Sasha could interrogate a rock into confessing. It's in the bathroom cabinet, but we are not making a video. We are, she said, already standing. And it's going to be harmless. No weird stuff. Just a makeover. Crossdressing as a bit. It's not like you're joining a circus. That's exactly what it sounds like, I muttered. But I followed her into the bathroom anyway because my willpower is held together by string, and Sasha knows where to cut. She opened the cabinet and let out a low whistle. Priya has taste, she said reverently. My sister would murder me if she knew you were touching that. Then don't tell her, Sasha said. I live with her on the family group chat, I said. She knows everything. I sneeze, and she texts me, bless you, with a link to allergy medication. Sasha laughed and lined up products on my bathroom counter like she was preparing for surgery. Primer, foundation, concealer, brushes that looked like tiny paint rollers, an eyeshadow palette with colors so intense they looked like candy. I stared at my reflection. My face was just my face. A little asymmetrical in a way I'd never noticed until cameras made me notice everything. A faint scar under my jaw from a bike crash when I was 14. Dark curls that never did what I wanted. Stubble that said I couldn't commit either way. What if I look too good? I tried because humor was my armor. Sasha didn't miss a beat. Then we monetize it. I laughed, but something in my chest fluttered, nervous and curious. Okay, I said, like I was agreeing to something small. But it's a joke. We make it clear. I don't want people thinking I don't know. Sasha's expression softened just a fraction. Dylan, nobody gets to tell you what you are. We're just playing with makeup. You can handle that. I nodded because I wanted to believe it was that simple. We set up my camera on a stack of old textbooks in the living room because I hadn't bought a tripod yet. The ring light glared like an interrogation lamp. Sasha sat me on a stool that wobbled every time I breathed. Introduce yourself, she said, slipping into her mock, serious voice. Like you're on a talk show. I looked into the lens and immediately forgot how to be a human. Hi. I cleared my throat. I'm Dylan. You probably don't know me. Unless you're my mom, in which case, stop watching. Sasha laughed from behind the camera. Tell them what we're doing. We're apparently doing a makeover challenge, I said, making it sound like someone was forcing me at gunpoint. Sasha is going to attempt to turn me into, I don't know, a beautiful princess or something. Sasha moved into frame with a flourish. I will not be aiming for princess. We're going for I could steal your boyfriend's hoodie and look better in it. Rude, I said, but I smiled. She draped a towel over my shoulders, then dabbed primer onto my face with her fingers. The sensation was strange, cool, and slick. I flinched instinctively. Stop moving, Sasha scolded. You're like a startled deer. I've never had someone smear stuff on my face on camera, I said. That's about to change, she replied. She worked quickly, talking the whole time, partly for the video and partly because Sasha filled silence like it offended her. This is primer, she narrated, holding up a bottle. It makes everything smooth so the foundation doesn't look like drywall. Dylan, look at me. Stop looking at yourself like you're about to witness a crime. I feel like I'm about to witness a crime. Sasha laughed and blended foundation across my cheeks, my forehead, down my neck. The mirror stopped showing my usual uneven redness. My skin looked even, like I'd been sleeping and drinking water like a responsible adult. It was unsettling. Okay, I admitted, voice quieter. That's kinda wild. Told you, Sasha said, smug. Then came concealer under my eyes. Powder dusted over my nose. My brows filled in with short strokes, suddenly sharper, more intentional. I watched my face change in small increments that added up to something bigger. Eyes, Sasha announced, like she was about to perform a magic trick. She held up a palette. We're doing something dramatic, because subtlety is for people who don't want views. I don't want views, I protested, but my voice had less conviction now. Sasha swept warm brown shadow into my crease, then darker at the corners. She added shimmer on my lids that caught the ring light and threw it back. When she drew eyeliner, she braced her hand against my cheek, her focus intense. Don't blink, she warned. That's not how eyes work, I said, but I tried. When she stuck false lashes on me, I thought I was going to sneeze my soul out of my body, but then it settled, and suddenly my eyes looked bigger, heavier, like a filter had come to life. Sasha leaned back, assessing me. Hold on, she said, and disappeared into my bedroom. I heard drawers opening, hangers sliding. Then she returned, holding a wig I had never seen before. What is that? I demanded. Priya's, Sasha said, too casually. My sister has a wig? Sasha shrugged. For a costume party. Probably, don't think too hard, put it on. I groaned, but I let her tuck my hair under a wig cap and place the wig on my head. The hair was long and dark, softer than my own curls, falling past my shoulders. When she adjusted it and the strands framed my face, I barely recognized myself. Okay, Sasha said, stepping aside so I could look in the mirror. I stared. The person looking back had my eyes, but everything else felt rearranged. The makeup made my features sharper. The wig softened my jawline. The lashes made my blink look slow and deliberate. My lips, tinted with a neutral gloss, looked fuller. I turned my head left and right, like I could catch the illusion slipping. That's insane, I whispered. Sasha's grin was bright and proud. Welcome to the power of artistry, babe. Don't call me babe, I said automatically, but my voice cracked into a laugh. Sasha clapped her hands. Outfit time. Outfit time? I repeated, alarmed. She pushed me toward my bedroom. You have clothes. Put something on that isn't a hoodie. I am not wearing a dress, I said, but my protest sounded like the kind that expected to be ignored. Sasha opened my closet like she was offended by its contents. You have nothing. You dress like a tired college professor. Okay, we improvise. She rummaged until she found an old black button-up shirt and a pair of skinny jeans. Then she looked at me, thought for a moment, and tossed me a long cardigan. Put these on, she ordered, and tuck the shirt in, trust me. I changed quickly, heart pounding like I was doing something illegal. When I stepped back into the living room, Sasha whistled. Look at you, she said, Soft goth librarian, I'd check out books late on purpose. Stop, I said, laughing despite myself. Sasha positioned me in front of the camera again. Final reveal. Act shocked, okay? I am shocked, I said. I look like I could yell at someone for touching my plants. That's the energy, Sasha said. We filmed the before shot, my bare face, my usual messy hair. Then we filmed the after, the transformation. Sasha had me flip the wig hair over my shoulder dramatically, like I'd seen people do online, and I almost fell off the stool laughing. You're committing, Sasha said, pleased. It's because I'm terrified, I replied. We edited it right there on my laptop, cutting it down to the short, punchy format that platforms liked. Sasha chose a trending sound. I added captions that made it clear it was a challenge, a joke, something light. At 2:12 in the morning, I posted it. I expected maybe a few thousand views, maybe some laughs from my tiny audience, maybe Priya texting me a suspicious, "Why is my wig missing?" I went to sleep with the casual arrogance of someone who didn't know the internet was about to grab him by the collar. The next morning, I woke up to my phone vibrating so hard it sounded angry. I squinted at the screen. Notifications stacked like a tower, comments, shares, follows, messages. What the? I mumbled. Then the view count loaded. 100,000. I sat up so fast I almost gave myself whiplash. I refreshed the page. 280,000. My throat went dry. I stumbled out of bed, grabbed my laptop, opened analytics like I was checking vital signs. The chart was a vertical line. Sasha called before I could even process it. "Dylan," she screamed into the phone, voice crackling with excitement. "You're famous!" "I'm not famous," I said automatically, but the words stuck in my mouth when I glanced at the numbers again. "You are," she insisted. "My coworker's cousin's roommate sent it to her. Dylan, it's out of our circle. That's the sign." I stared at the screen. The comments blurred together. I didn't know guys could pull off makeup like that. This is the funniest thing I've seen all week. Wait, why does he look better than me? Do part 2. Do it in public. Teach us the eyeliner. Some comments were mean in the way the internet liked to be mean, quick and lazy, but they were drowned out by the sheer volume of people yelling things like icon and he ate and more. My chest filled with something fizzy and sharp. Attention. I'd wanted it, technically. I'd been chasing it with every upload, every joke, every edit that took too long. But I'd never felt it like this, pouring in faster than I could hold it. Sasha kept talking, but I barely heard her. I kept refreshing. At noon, my phone rang again. This time, it was a number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously. "Hello?" "Dylan," a man's voice said, crisp and confident. "It's Nate." My stomach flipped. I did recognize Nate. He'd started managing me a few months earlier, mostly in the way a guy in a suit manages a tiny creator, by emailing them generic advice and taking a small cut of the 2 brand deals they managed to scrape together. He'd been helpful, sure, but he'd always sounded like he was talking to me from the top of a staircase. "Hey," I said, voice suddenly polite. "What's up?" "What's up?" Nate repeated, and I could hear the smile in his tone. "What's up is you just landed on the internet's radar. Congratulations." I glanced at the view count again. It was over 1 million now. "Yeah," I said, dizzy. I don't know what's happening." "What's happening is opportunity," Nate said. "Listen, we need to move fast. Viral moments have a shelf life. We need a follow-up by tomorrow, ideally tonight. Can you do another makeover challenge?" My brain lagged. "Tonight?" "Yes," Nate said, like it was obvious. "We ride the wave. Part 2. Bigger transformation. Maybe you go out in public. A reaction segment. People love reaction segments." "That sounds intense," I said. "It's content," Nate replied. "You want to build a career. This is how." I thought of my rent, my overdue credit card, the way my stomach tightened every time I checked my bank balance. "Okay," I heard myself say. "Maybe. I'll talk to Sasha." Good, Nate said. Also, we should brand this. You have a hook now. You're the makeover guy. The cross-dressing challenge guy. That's marketable. The words hit wrong, like a shirt tag scratching the back of my neck. I'm not trying to be a guy anything, I said carefully. It was a joke. Jokes make money, Nate said smoothly. Call me back in an hour with a plan. I'll start reaching out to brands. When the call ended, I stared at my phone like it had teeth. My door buzzer went off. I blinked, confused, then buzzed it in. A few minutes later, Priya knocked and walked right into my apartment like she owned the lease, which, emotionally, she did. My sister Priya was 29 and the kind of person who always looked put together, even when she claimed she'd just thrown something on. She worked in marketing for a mid-sized company and spoke fluent corporate. She also had a protective streak that could cut through steel. She didn't say hello. She held up her phone and shoved it toward my face. On the screen was my video, paused on the final reveal. Priya's eyes narrowed. Why is my wig on your head? I swallowed. Hi, Priya. Why? She repeated, like she was speaking to a toddler who'd tried to eat glue. It was Sasha, I said quickly. It was a joke. We did a makeover video. Priya stared at me for a long moment. Then she looked around my apartment, taking in the ring light, the camera, the empty pizza box, the makeup brushes scattered like evidence. You posted it, she said, flat. Yes, I admitted. And now my coworkers are emailing me asking if I'm related to the makeover guy. Priya's voice went up at the end, incredulous. Do you know how weird it is to have someone in accounting ask me if you're available for a birthday party transformation? I winced. I didn't think it would go like this. Priya's gaze flicked to my laptop where the view count was still climbing. Her expression changed, just slightly. Concern slid in behind the annoyance. How big is it? She asked. I angled the screen toward her. Her eyebrows lifted. Oh. Yeah, I said, breathless. Priya sat down slowly on my couch, like her knees had decided without consulting her. Okay, so here's what we're not going to do. She held up a finger. We are not going to let strangers on the internet turn you into a toy. I'm not a toy, I said, defensive. I know, Priya replied, voice firm. But the internet doesn't care. They care about a version of you that they can point at. And people in suits will try to sell that version, you understand? I thought of Nate's voice, marketable. Hook. I mean, I said, it's just content. Priya leaned forward. Dylan, I do this for a living. When something hits, people rush in with boxes. They want to put you in one, label it, sell it. If you step out of the box, they get mad. I wanted to argue. I wanted to say I could handle it, that I was in control, that it was just makeup and a wig and a joke. But the truth was, my hands were still shaking from the notifications. I like it, I admitted quietly. The attention, it feels good. Priya's expression softened. Of course it does. You've been working at this forever and nobody noticed. Now they're noticing. That's a rush. But don't let that rush steer the car. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. Nate, texting. Nate, follow up today. We have a window. Priya saw the name on the screen. Is that your manager? Yeah, I said. Don't let him bully you, Priya said immediately. He's not bullying, I protested. He's just trying to help. Priya gave me a look. Dylan, helping and steering are not the same thing. I didn't answer because I didn't know how. That afternoon, Sasha came over with 2 iced coffees and the energy of someone who'd been mainlining excitement. We have to do another one, she said as soon as she walked in. People are begging. It's insane. Priya crossed her arms. People begging is not a reason. Sasha paused, registering Priya's tone. Uh-oh, big sister mode. Priya pointed at the laptop screen. This is bigger than a joke now. Sasha's face sobered. I know, that's why we should be careful. I blinked. You're agreeing with Priya? Sasha rolled her eyes. Don't act like I'm always chaos. I'm controlled chaos. Priya and Sasha exchanged a look that felt like two different kinds of protection meeting in the middle. Sasha sat next to me and nudged my knee. How do you feel? I opened my mouth, then closed it. The truth was messy. I feel like I'm floating, I said finally. Like everyone suddenly sees me. And does that feel good? Sasha asked gently. Yes, I admitted. Too good. Priya exhaled through her nose. That's what worries me. My phone rang again. Nate. I answered because I couldn't not. Dylan, Nate said, brisk. I've got 2 brands asking about you. One is a makeup company. One is a clothing brand. But they want you to lean into the transformation angle. That's what they're paying for. Sasha mouthed, careful, at me. Breathe. Priya watched my face like she could hear Nate through the phone. What do they want? I asked. A series, Nate said. Weekly makeover challenge. Maybe you adopt a name for the glam version. People love an alter ego. Also, you need to show your face more. Behind the scenes. Personal life. Make it feel intimate. My stomach clenched at the word intimate, not in a romantic way, but in the way a camera in your living room can start to feel like a stranger. That's a lot, I said. It's business, Nate replied. This is how you go from viral to sustainable. Otherwise, you'll be a one-hit wonder. The phrase landed like a threat. I'll think about it, I said. You don't have time to think, Nate said, and the friendliness dropped just enough to reveal steel. You have time to act. I'm booking you on a live stream with a bigger creator this weekend. That will cement you. I didn't agree to that, I said, voice rising. You want momentum, Nate said. Trust me, I do this. When I hung up, my hands were sweaty. Priya's eyes were sharp. He's already booking things without you agreeing. Sasha leaned forward. Okay, that's not great. I rubbed my face, smearing imaginary makeup that wasn't there. But he has brands, he has connections. Priya's voice softened. Dylan, you're not wrong to want this. You're just wrong if you think wanting it means you have to hand over the steering wheel. That night, I told myself I'd be smart. I told myself I'd do one more follow-up. Keep it fun. Keep it controlled. Sasha came over again and we filmed a second makeover, a different style. More bold eyeshadow, a brighter lip. A different wig. I wore Priya's cardigan because it made the look feel like something a real person would wear, not a costume. We posted it. It hit just as hard. My follower count doubled in a day, then doubled again. The comments multiplied like ants. Do a full face tutorial. Go out in public. Let's see you at the mall. Do you have a girlfriend? Are you actually like this, or is it just a joke? Marry me. Teach my boyfriend. I read them all, even the weird ones, even the ones that made my skin crawl, even the ones that felt too personal. It didn't matter. They were looking at me. They were talking about me. They were spending their time on me. It was like standing under a spotlight after years in the dark. A week later, I was sitting in a glass office downtown, the kind with walls so clean they felt judgmental. Nate sat across from me, suit crisp, hair perfectly styled. He looked like he belonged here, like he'd been born in a conference room. He slid a folder toward me. Contract, he said. The makeup brand wants you as the face of their new campaign. It's good money. How good? I asked. Trying not to sound desperate, Nate smiled. 5 figures for 3 videos. My throat tightened. 5 figures was rent for months. 5 figures was not having to check my bank account before buying groceries. 5 figures was breathing room. What's the catch? Priya asked. Nate glanced at her, polite but annoyed. No catch. They want deliverables, weekly content, consistency. Also exclusivity, Priya said, flipping through the pages, eyes scanning fast. Nate's smile stayed in place. Standard. Priya's finger tapped a paragraph. This says he can't post content that conflicts with their branding. It's a makeup company, Nate said. They don't want him promoting competitors. Priya shook her head. It's broader than that. It's vague. It could mean anything. Nate's jaw tightened just slightly. Priya, I appreciate that you're looking out for your brother, but Dylan is an adult. He's building a business. I sat there, folder open, hearing the numbers in my head like a drumbeat. Sasha, who had insisted on coming too, shifted beside me. Her knee bounced under the table. She didn't trust Nate, and she didn't hide it well. What do they want him to do? Sasha asked. Nate leaned back like he was settling into a speech. They want what the audience wants. More transformations. More cross-dressing challenges. More public reactions. It's the hook. It's what makes him special. I flinched at the word hook again. I'm already special, I muttered, but it came out small. Nate smiled like I'd made a cute joke. Sure, but the market needs a simple story. Dylan becomes glam. Dylan goes out. People react. Everyone clicks. We can package it nicely. Priya's eyes flashed. He's not a cereal box. Nate's smile didn't move. No, he's a creator. And right now, he has a chance to turn this into a career. The public doesn't buy complexity. They buy recognizable. I stared at the contract until the words blurred. Part of me wanted to throw the folder at his face. Part of me wanted to sign with a flourish. Because I did like it. I liked being recognized. I liked the comments calling me beautiful, funny, fearless. I liked my phone buzzing with proof that I mattered to strangers. I signed. I told myself it was just business. The next month was a blur of ring light glare and deadlines. My apartment turned into a studio. Boxes of makeup arrived in the mail, wigs, clothes, a tripod, a better camera. Nate sent me a content calendar that made my stomach drop. 3 videos a week, he said over the phone. Minimum. I used to do one, I said. That's why you used to be small, Nate replied. Now you're big. Act like it. Sasha came over whenever she could, helping me film, helping me blend, helping me not look like a ghost under the bright lights. But she had her own job, her own life, and I started asking too much without meaning to. I can't come over every night, she said one evening, exhaustion in her voice. I know, I said, but my eyes flicked to my phone, where Nate had just texted, need upload by tomorrow morning. Sasha followed my gaze. He's pushing you. I'm fine, I lied. Priya visited less, partly because she was busy, and partly because every time she came over, she looked like she wanted to tear my ring light in half. You're not sleeping, she pointed out one day, eyes narrowing at the dark circles under mine. I'm working, I said. You're refreshing, she corrected. You're checking numbers every 5 minutes like it's a heartbeat monitor. It's my job, I snapped, then immediately regretted it. Priya's face fell, then hardened. Your job is not to be consumed. I wanted to tell her she didn't get it, that she had a steady paycheck and a normal life, that she didn't know what it felt like to finally have people pay attention. But she did get it. She just didn't want me to drown in it. The brand wanted me on camera in full glam, holding products, smiling like I'd been born confident. They wanted authenticity, which meant they wanted me to talk about my feelings in 30 seconds or less, neatly packaged with a discount code. Nate coached me through it like I was a puppet, and he held the strings. Say you've always loved experimenting, he said. I haven't always loved experimenting, I argued. Say it anyway, Nate replied. It sounds good. I started filming in my kitchen because the lighting was better. I started rearranging my furniture for backgrounds. I bought plants because plants looked good on camera. My apartment stopped feeling like a place I lived and started feeling like a set. Then Nate pushed the next step. Public, he said. We need you out in the world. People want to see reactions. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that, I said, voice cautious. Nate sighed like I was being difficult. Dylan, the cross-dressing is the hook, the reactions are the payoff. Otherwise, it's just makeup, and there are a million makeup creators. You're different. I hated the way the word different sounded in his mouth, like a product label. Sasha heard the conversation and shook her head hard enough to make her bun wobble. Don't, she mouthed at me. But my phone buzzed with an email from the brand. They loved my last video. They wanted more. They hinted at a bonus. I agreed. The first time I went out in public in full glam, I thought I might throw up in the elevator. Sasha helped me get ready, hands steady, while mine trembled. She adjusted my wig, patted powder on my nose, and stepped back. You look great, she said, quieter than usual. I feel like everyone's going to stare, I said. They will, Sasha said honestly. But staring isn't lethal. Breathe. I laughed nervously. That's a comforting slogan. Priya arrived halfway through, uninvited, because of course she did. She took one look at me and her expression did. Something complicated. Not disgust. Not shock. Just worry. Wrapped around something like pride, maybe, or sadness. You don't have to do this, she said softly. I already said I would, I replied, voice tight. Priya stepped closer and adjusted the collar of my cardigan like she couldn't help herself. Then do it on your terms. Nate met us at the coffee shop, wearing sunglasses indoors like he wanted to be spotted. He held his phone up immediately. Okay, he said. Walk in. We get the entrance. Then you order. Then we see reactions. Simple. I'm not filming strangers without asking, Sasha snapped. Nate's smile turned cold. We're in public. That doesn't make it okay, Sasha shot back. Nate looked at me, expecting me to side with him. I swallowed. My mouth tasted like nerves. We can blur faces, I offered weakly. Nate sighed. Fine, blur faces. But we need genuine reactions. That's what sells. We walked in. For a second, nothing happened. Just the normal sound of espresso machines and quiet conversation. Then a teenager at a corner table gasped dramatically and whispered to her friend. Her friend looked, eyes widening, and lifted her phone. A man at the counter turned and did a double take. A woman smiled at me like she was in on the secret. My skin buzzed with awareness. I ordered my drink, voice steady, despite my heart trying to climb out of my throat. The barista didn't blink. She just asked for my name. Dylan, I said. She wrote it on the cup, then hesitated. Wait, she said, looking up, squinting. Are you the makeover guy? There it was again, the label. I forced a smile. Yeah, she grinned. My sister loves your videos. She says your eyeliner is better than hers. I laughed, relief flooding me. Tell her Sasha did it. Sasha, behind me, snorted. Nate filmed the whole thing with a satisfied expression. When we left, Nate clapped me on the shoulder like I'd performed a trick. See, he said, that's gold. We do that again. Maybe a mall next time. Bigger crowd. My stomach dropped. A mall? You want growth, Nate said. You need scale. That night, I watched the footage back and saw myself through Nate's lens. Not Dylan. Not a guy trying something new. A spectacle. I posted the video anyway. It did numbers. It did numbers so hard my brain stopped functioning properly. Millions of views, thousands of comments. Reaction videos from strangers with microphones. People stitching my clip and rating my look. People arguing in comment sections about what I really was, like I wasn't a person with a pulse. I told myself it was fine. I told myself I could handle it. But the attention started to feel less like a spotlight and more like a hand on my throat. It showed up in little ways. A guy on the street, calling out, "Do the hair flip," like I was a trained animal. A message in my inbox asking what neighborhood I lived in, with a wink emoji that made my skin crawl. A fan who meant well sending me a photo of me at the coffee shop from an angle I hadn't seen, proving that even when I wasn't filming, someone else was. I started wearing hats everywhere. I started keeping my curtains closed. I started checking over my shoulder more than anyone should. Nate didn't care. "The engagement is incredible," he said, voice bright. "Controversy boosts reach. Keep feeding it." "I don't want controversy," I said, exhausted. "You don't get to choose," Nate replied. "The internet chooses. You just capitalize." Priya called me after she saw the public video. "Dylan," she said, voice controlled, which meant she was angry. "Do you feel okay?" "I'm fine," I lied. Priya paused. "Don't do that. Don't make me drag it out of you." I sank onto my couch, suddenly too tired to pretend. "I'm tired," I admitted. "I'm stressed. But it's working. I'm making money." "And what are you losing?" Priya asked quietly. I didn't answer because the list was too long and too embarrassing. Sleep, peace, the ability to go buy groceries without a stranger recognizing my jawline. Sasha stopped by later with takeout and took one look at me before setting the bag down. "You look wrecked," she said. "I'm fine," I said automatically. Sasha didn't let it slide. She sat across from me, eyes sharp. "Dylan, you're not fine. You're chasing the numbers like they're oxygen." I laughed weakly. "That's dramatic." "It's true," Sasha said. "You're checking your phone every 2 minutes. You're letting Nate tell you what you are. He's turning you into a character." "I am a character," I argued. "That's content." "No," Sasha said, voice firm. "You are a person. A character is something you can take off. You're wearing this like it's glued to your skin." Her words hit harder because they were true. The worst part was, I liked the character. When I put on the wig and the makeup, I felt powerful in a way I didn't feel in my regular hoodie. People looked at me differently. They listened. They reacted. They called me bold. They called me stunning. They called me fearless. And I soaked it up like sunlight. I didn't want to admit that the attention had become a craving, that I'd started to measure my worth in views. Nate's next idea was the one that broke something in me. He called on a Friday morning. "Big news," he said. "I landed you a collab." "With who?" I asked, wary. "A creator with 10 million followers," Nate said, like that was the only detail that mattered. "He does prank-style content. He wants to do a makeover surprise. You show up as Glam Dylan, then reveal. Huge." "I don't do pranks," I said immediately. "It's not a prank," Nate argued. "It's a reveal. People love reveals." "I don't want to be a reveal," I said, voice rising. "I'm not a magic trick." Nate's tone cooled. "Dylan, you're being emotional. This is how careers are made." Priya, who happened to be in my kitchen because she'd stopped by to drop off groceries like the responsible sibling she was, heard enough to insert herself. "Hi, Nate," she said loudly into my space, not into my phone. He said no. There was a pause on the line. "Is that Priya?" Nate asked, irritated. "Yes," I said, jaw tight. "Priya," Nate said, tone forced polite. "This is between Dylan and me." Priya stepped closer, eyes blazing. "You're treating him like a product." Nate laughed once, humorless. "He is a brand." I flinched. Priya's voice sharpened. "He is your client, not your property." "Priya," I said, trying to calm it down, but my voice sounded weak, even to me. Nate exhaled. "Dylan, listen. This collab will triple your audience. The sponsor bonus will be significant. If you don't do it, they'll move on. And the brand we signed with is watching your growth. If you plateau, they'll renegotiate." There it was, the threat dressed up as advice. My stomach churned. I thought of the contract, the deliverables, the way money had started to feel like a leash. "I'll think about it," I said, because it was easier than saying no. Nate's tone warmed instantly. "Good. I'll send details. Shoot is Sunday." When I hung up, Priya stared at me like she couldn't believe what she'd just heard. "You're going to let him do this," she demanded. "I don't know," I said, voice thin. "It's a big opportunity." Priya's hands curled into fists. "At what cost?" I didn't have an answer that didn't sound pathetic. Sunday came anyway because when you don't say no, the world hears yes. The shoot was in a rented studio that smelled like stale coffee and cheap air freshener. The big creator, a guy named Logan, greeted me with a grin that looked practiced. "Bro," he said, clapping me on the back. "You're the makeover guy. This is going to be hilarious." I swallowed. I'm not trying to be hilarious." Logan laughed like I'd told a joke. "Nah, it's all in good fun." Nate hovered nearby, phone in hand, watching like a hawk. Sasha stood on the other side of the room, arms crossed, jaw clenched. She'd insisted on coming because she didn't trust any of this. "Here's the concept," Logan said, waving toward a couch set up like a talk show. "We do a little interview. Then you go behind the screen, do the makeover fast, come back out, surprise me. Boom, reaction. People eat it up." "That's not really what I do," I said. Logan shrugged. "It's what you do now." My stomach tightened. I glanced at Nate. Nate gave me a look that said, "Play along." They put a mic on my shirt. The clip felt like a tiny shackle. We sat on the couch. Cameras rolled. Logan leaned toward me, grin wide. "So Dylan, be honest. Are you actually like this? Or is it just for clout?" The question landed like a slap. I forced a laugh. "It started as a joke." Logan's eyes gleamed. "But you love it, right? You love dressing up. You love being pretty." Sasha shifted sharply off camera. I heard her inhale like she wanted to interrupt. I kept my smile glued on. "I like makeup. It's fun." Logan laughed. "Fun. Sure, okay, so what do your parents think? Are they cool with you wearing, He gestured vaguely. "All that." My chest tightened. "They don't really watch my stuff." Logan leaned in farther. "Come on, give the people something. Tell us a story. Did your dad freak out?" Nate's eyes were on me, intense. I realized suddenly that Logan wasn't interviewing me. He was poking at me to see what would bleed, and Nate was letting him. "Hey," Sasha said, stepping into frame. "That's not what we agreed to." Logan blinked at her, still smiling. "Who's this?" "Sasha," she said, tone sharp. "His friend. And I'm saying we're not doing trauma bait." Logan laughed like she was adorable. "Relax, it's just jokes." "It's not jokes if he's uncomfortable," Sasha snapped. Nate stepped forward, voice controlled. "Sasha, let's not derail the shoot." Sasha's eyes narrowed. "Or what, Nate? You'll fire me?" "I don't work for you." Logan raised his hands, still grinning. Okay, everyone breathe. Dylan, you good?" All eyes turned to me. That was the moment. The pivot point. If I said yes, the machine kept moving, the views kept coming, the money kept flowing. Nate stayed happy, the brand stayed happy, the internet stayed fed. If I said no, everything would wobble, deals could vanish, Nate would be furious. People would call me ungrateful, weak, difficult. My mouth went dry. I thought about the woman in the pharmacy aisle, the way she'd said, "Keep doing what you're doing, honey," like she meant it kindly, like she thought this was simple. I thought about Priya's warning, boxes, labels. Sell it. I thought about how my apartment no longer felt like mine, how my phone buzzing didn't feel like joy anymore, just pressure. I thought about the way I'd started to look at my own face like it belonged to strangers. And I thought about how, when Sasha had put makeup on me the first time, it had felt like play, like art, like a joke between friends. Not like this. I looked at Nate. He nodded slightly, urging. I looked at Sasha. Her eyes were steady, asking me to choose myself, whatever that meant. I took a breath. No, I said. The word dropped into the room like a glass hitting tile. Logan blinked. No? No. I repeated, voice steadier now. I'm not doing this. Not like this. I'm not here to be poked at. I'm not a reveal. I'm not a punchline. Nate's face tightened. Dylan. I stood up, the mic wire tugging. My hands shook, but I kept going. I'll do makeup videos. I'll do cross-dressing content when I want to. But I'm not doing bait. I'm not doing humiliation for clicks. Logan's grin faded, replaced by irritation. Dude, it's content. It's my life, I said, and my voice cracked on the last word, which made it more real. Nate stepped closer, voice low and urgent. Do you know how much money you're walking away from right now? I swallowed. Yeah. And you're going to blow it, Nate hissed. Because you're in your feelings. Sasha moved to my side like a guard. Priya wasn't there, but I could hear her voice in my head. Don't let them steer. I reached up and unclipped the mic from my shirt. I held it out to Nate. I'm done, I said. Nate stared at me like he'd never seen me disobey, like he'd thought the contract had been a collar. Dylan, he said, voice sharp. Think. I am thinking, I said quietly. For the first time in weeks. I walked out of the studio with Sasha beside me. The hallway felt too bright. My heart hammered like it wanted to run ahead of my body. When we got outside, the cold air hit my face and I realized I was sweating. Sasha let out a shaky laugh. Holy, you actually did it. I leaned against the brick wall and slid down until I was sitting on the sidewalk like my bones had turned to water. I think I just ruined everything, I whispered. Sasha crouched beside me. You just saved something. My career, I said, voice rough. My money. Sasha's eyes softened. Your dignity. The word hit like a bomb and a bruise at the same time. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was refreshing numbers, but because my brain kept replaying Nate's face, Logan's questions, the sound of my own voice saying no. In the morning, Nate texted me. Nate, call me, now. I stared at the message until my eyes burned, then I typed back. No, 3 dots appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. Nate, you're making a mistake. Me, I'm making a choice. Nate, you're going to lose the brand. Me, okay. My thumb hovered over the screen, then I added the words that felt like stepping off a cliff. Me, I'm ending our contract. There was a long pause. Then Nate sent one more message. Nate, don't expect me to clean up the mess. I didn't reply. The fallout came fast. The makeup brand emailed me a polite note about reassessing alignment. The clothing brand backed out. The bonus Nate had promised disappeared like smoke. My views dropped within days. The algorithm, which had been carrying me like a wave, let me go. People noticed. Comments shifted from cheering to confused. Where's the glam content? Did he quit? He got boring. He fumbled. Bring back the old Dylan. Old Dylan, like I was a discontinued product. I filmed a video sitting on my couch with no wig, no lashes, no dramatic music. Just me, my scruffy stubble, my tired eyes, my hands clasped like I was trying to hold myself together. Hey, I said into the camera, I need to talk to you. I told them the truth as plainly as I could without making it a performance. I told them I'd started doing makeover videos for fun. I told them the attention got big fast, and people started asking for more and more, and it stopped being fun when it stopped being mine. I'm not quitting makeup, I said, voice steady. I'm not quitting cross-dressing content. I like it. I like playing with style. I like feeling bold sometimes. But I'm not doing it on demand. I'm not doing it for humiliation. I'm not doing it to make strangers comfortable or entertained at my expense. I swallowed, throat tight. I'm going to make what I want to make, I continued. If you're here for that, I'm glad. If you're not, that's fine. But I'm not going to trade my peace for clicks. I posted it and immediately felt like I'd walked into a storm. The response was mixed. Some people unsubscribed loudly, leaving comments announcing their departure, like they were breaking up with me. Others surprised me. I'm staying. Thank you for saying this. I like the makeup, but I like you more. Boundaries are cool, actually. Priya called me after she watched it. Her voice was quiet. I'm proud of you. I swallowed hard. I lost a lot. I know, Priya said. But you kept the part that matters. Sasha showed up with groceries and didn't tease me about being dramatic for once. She just hugged me, hard enough to make my ribs ache. You're going to be okay, she said into my shoulder. I might have to move, I admitted, voice muffled. Then we'll find you a place, Sasha replied. A smaller one, with less echo for your dramatic speeches. I laughed, and it sounded like relief. The next few weeks were humbling. I sold a couple of things I had bought at the peak of my hype, like the fancy camera lens I didn't actually need. I canceled subscriptions. I learned what it felt like to watch my bank account dip again and not have Nate's voice promising bonuses. I also learned what it felt like to have a quiet phone. At first, the silence scared me. It felt like being dropped. It felt like I'd been erased. Then slowly, it started to feel like rest. I filmed when I wanted to. Sometimes that meant a gaming stream. Sometimes it meant a goofy sketch with Sasha pretending to be my manager and demanding I do ridiculous content ideas, which we could laugh at now because we were laughing at the machine instead of feeding it. Sometimes it meant makeup, not on a schedule, not because Nate demanded deliverables, not because a brand needed a discount code, because I felt like it. One evening, Sasha came over with a small bag and a smug look. What? I asked, suspicious. I brought you something, she said, pulling out a tube of mascara, because you were in the pharmacy aisle texting me like a lost child. I groaned. You're never going to let that go. Nope, Sasha said cheerfully. Now sit. I'm fixing your eyeliner from last time. It was tragic. Rude. Accurate, Sasha corrected, already grabbing a brush. Priya came too, showing up with takeout and the air of someone checking in on a project she refused to abandon. She looked around my apartment, which now had less equipment and more lived in mess, and nodded. You look better, she observed. I'm sleeping, I said, like it was a confession. Priya smiled. Good. Sasha dabbed concealer under my eyes. Hold still. I sat on the stool that no longer wobbled because I'd finally bought a real one and stared into the camera lens. The ring light hummed softly. The room felt normal again. You want to film? Sasha asked. I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, but not like before. Priya raised an eyebrow. Define not like before. I took a breath. No public reaction bait, no forcing it. No pretending I'm someone else, just makeup, just me. If people like it, cool. If not, I still get to go to bed at a reasonable hour. Sasha's grin softened. That's hot, Priya snorted. Sasha. What? Sasha said innocently. I mean it respectfully. Priya rolled her eyes and leaned against the counter. You're learning. I'm shocked. Sasha started blending eyeshadow on my lids, talking me through it so I could do it myself next time, because she refused to let me rely on her forever. I watched my face shift under the brushstrokes and felt the familiar flicker of that boldness, that playful power. It wasn't gone. It hadn't been stolen. It had just been buried under demands and noise. When Sasha handed me the mirror, I didn't see a product. I saw Dylan, with a little shimmer on his eyelids and a steadier gaze. Priya's phone buzzed and she glanced at it, then looked back at me. You know you'll never get the old numbers back, right? I swallowed because that still stung. Yeah. And you're okay with that? Priya pressed, not unkindly, but honestly. I thought about the contracts, the pressure. Nate's voice telling me I didn't have time to think. Logan's grin and the way my stomach had turned into ice. I thought about the pharmacy aisle and how I'd wanted to be invisible for 5 minutes. Then I looked at Sasha, who was smiling at me like she'd never cared about views in the first place. I looked at Priya, who had fought for my dignity even when I'd pushed her away. I'm not thrilled about losing money, I admitted, because pretending otherwise would be fake. But I'm okay with not losing myself. Priya's expression eased, and she nodded like she'd been waiting for me to say that. Sasha pointed at the camera. Okay, Boundary King, say hi to your smaller, real audience. I leaned toward the lens, feeling a weird calm settle in my chest. Hey, I said, voice warm. It's Dylan. Today we're doing a look that doesn't involve me sprinting through a mall for strangers' reactions. Sasha laughed behind the camera. Priya shook her head, amused. I hit record. Later, after we finished filming, I checked my phone once, then set it down face up and didn't pick it back up again. The urge to refresh was still there, a little itch in my brain, but it didn't control my hands. When the video went up, it didn't explode. It didn't shoot to millions. It didn't summon headlines or reaction channels. It got a few thousand views in the first day, then a few more. And the comments, though fewer, felt different. Love this vibe. Thanks for keeping it real. Your sister and Sasha are hilarious. Teach me that eyeliner trick. Glad you're doing this your way. I sat on my couch with Sasha and Priya eating takeout. The ring light turned off for once, and felt something settle into place that wasn't a viral rush. It was quieter, smaller. It was mine. My phone buzzed with a new message, and for once, it wasn't Nate. It wasn't a brand. It wasn't a stranger demanding a performance. It was Sasha, sitting right beside me, texting me, because she was incapable of being normal. Sasha, proud of you, mascara aisle celebrity. I looked at her and rolled my eyes. You're unbearable. Sasha smiled. And yet, Priya raised her drink. 2 boundaries. I raised mine too. The money was smaller now. The audience was smaller. The noise was smaller. But when I walked into the world, whether I wore a hoodie or a little eyeliner or a full glam look just because I felt like it, I didn't feel like a product on a shelf. I felt like a person who had finally learned how to say no, even when yes was louder. And that for me was worth more than the numbers ever were.
Did you like the story? Hit that like button and tell me what you thought in the comments. Do you want to hear more stories? Subscribe and hit the bell. For exclusive content and early access, check out our Patreon. You can find the link in the description, or you can watch any of the videos shown on my right. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.